Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 12 of the 30 Days of Transformation. Today, we're going to talk about trying to find that sacred dance and harmonize it between our inner masculine and our inner feminine energies. This is something I talk a lot about with twin flames, and I teach a lot about finding the inner harmony. And so, if you've been on this twin flame journey, you really do understand that inner masculine, inner feminine energy, or let's just say you actually understand the masculine and feminine energies, but a lot of times most people look at it outside of themselves at the other person rather than seeing that the other person is reflecting in themselves what they need to work on. So one of the things and disclaimers I want to make straight up is that this is not about gender when I talk about masculine and feminine energy. It's no different than a battery, where a battery has a polarity of a positive and negative, and the two of those together equal a magnetic force that creates either a magnetic pull or a repel. So when you think about this twin flame journey and there's an imbalance between you and another person, and let's just, in this case, as I said, it's not gender, but let's say it's you a feminine, or let's say me a feminine and me a masculine. When those two energies come together, they have to create a wholeness within the dynamic itself. So whatever imbalance you have is what you bring to the table for the balance of that with the other person. So when you come into this alignment and there's an imbalance between you and that person, the reason it's imbalanced is because inside of you has an imbalance of that energy or that experience or that situation inside of you, which is how it's aligning like a puzzle piece or like the yin and the yang that come together to create an equal. So until you can start taking responsibility for your ownership of a dynamic with any relationship or any experience, you will continue to have scenarios that put you through experiences that cause you to be out of balance or could feel out of balance because you're fighting the process and not looking inside of yourself. So a lot of you have just joined, and I just want to do a quick recap here. This is day 12 of a 30-day transformation, a journey to your true self. Well, I'm coming live for 30 days. And a side note on that, I mentioned this last night. I didn't realize that I've lost a week. And so and going out of town before this is over, and it's a family trip. So I'm going to have a gap, and I'll keep you notified. I'll have a gap before I leave, which is going to be the last day I could come on here is the 18th. And then when I get back around the 28th, 29th, probably because I'll be all night flight back, probably around the 29th or so, I'll be back to kind of finish up what I miss. It was just totally in a vortex and thought that I had it all mapped out. And actually, I did have it mapped out. But what happened is I wasn't able to start at the exact date and time that I had originally planned based on just a lot of factors. So anyway, so mirroring back to you and your own inner masculine, your own inner feminine energies, you need to use these experiences, these dynamics to bring the harmony within yourself. So then you align in harmony with the other person or people or relationships or whatever the experiences are or relationships are. Because it really doesn't matter if it is the twin flame we're talking about here, because the entire world is your mirror and a reflection of who you are. So in that being said, when it comes to you finding that inner harmony and that inner balance, it's really important to do some, observation of what's happening in the dynamic or the experience, and then trace that back to, okay, well, what do I see in this? Why is it triggering me? Where does this exist in me? And what part of me is this triggering? Because that's where our inner feminine, inner masculine energies, and I always say there's two sides to every coin. Sometimes we have to do something exactly twice and go through an experience exactly twice to learn each side of what the major soul lesson is that we came here to experience. So on one side, let's just give you an example. Maybe you've been in an experience or relationship or even with the same person, and you showed up and you gave away your power, meaning you like focused on them and you expected them to fulfill you, and you basically didn't come at it from a place of like ownership, because this is the thing, that you're owning your vibration here. It's not about your thoughts, feelings, and actions that even matter, because you can't fake energy. It's the signal your energy is sending out to create these magnetic pulls or repels that I talked about from in the beginning a while ago about being like a battery. So you don't even have to, it's not consciously something you can control, but you feel through it. Okay. So you have to surrender into this idea of, when we talk about wounds and our inner child wounds or inner wounds, there, like, you have to look at which side of that polarity, so to speak, inside of you is actually wounded. So, like, I'm going to go back to the example I was about to give you, where if you basically give your power away in this experience with someone, 9 times out of 10, either, unless that contract is over with that person, this is why they always come back, because you didn't get the other side of it. So maybe you gave your power away, you wasn't in like a sense of worth, and you didn't stand up, show up, or speak up for yourself. Well, then you have to do it again, because you got to now pull back some of the power you gave away. Now, you might not have intentionally gave it away, obviously, right? But in the scenario, you might have lost your own empowerment through the experience. And I give you an example of this. Okay, so this one's pretty deep for me, and I'm just going to kind of share this. So, whenever my beloved champ was taken, I had retained an attorney, and I wasn't sure where the funds were going to come from for that. And then someone showed up and said, "I want to handle this for you." And I took it as a blessing, because I was like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. So then in that experience, then I was basically abandoned. And it was like a whole twin flame journey. And there was a lot of pieces to it that I won't talk about specifically here, because that's a whole story in itself. But my case my case was lost because of this person didn't follow through with some things. And I was out of the country too, and didn't know this till I got back. So at that time, then, even to go forward with that in that scenario and that abandonment that took place, it was illegal. Like, it was something that um I had to reach out to two more attorneys after that, because at that point I lost my case, and my dog, it was like I had no clue if I would still get him back, because the judge done made awarded the decision, because we didn't show up with what was needed and required within a time frame. So then I talked to some attorneys, and the attorneys had said to me, well, you basically, now you have two situations. You got this going on with your dog, but this was not illegal. So you have a case against this person, and you need to go after this person, because they should have never done this to you. And so at that point, I'm just like, well, he was just trying to help me out. And it was, like, he didn't mean to do it. And the scenarios that were on there were like life and death, so to speak. That's all I'm going to say with that. And because of that, I felt really bad for him, right? And so this new attorney I got, she was like, I paid for empowerment coaching from her. She will chew nuts and bolts. And there's some reasons why she's that empowered in her own scenario that, again, I won't go into, because it's her story, but it's really deep as to how and why she's even an attorney. So that being said, she taught me through the whole process to come into trial, to be in ownership of my dog and myself. And what I discovered was, I was going through these scenarios, and it was even happening with that being abandoned and that court case because I didn't know how to stand up, show up, and speak up and be empowered and say, no, this is not okay. This is not okay. You can't do this to me. I was still like giving my power away in that. And so the point I guess I'm saying in that is what I discovered in that. I had to come to an energetic vibration that said inside of me that instead of like saying, I don't want to go through this, I've got enough going on with this trial, much less open another case. I don't want to have to go through that again. And I could see very clearly if I didn't at least come to the inner decision that if when this new attorney takes me back to court, and if we lost the case and I lost my dog, then I had to go after the attorney that lost my case. So, with that being said, it wasn't that action that mattered. It meant that I was no longer resisting the action that mattered. Okay. That was a long way around that, but I want you to see the depths of that. And what that was is there was a wounded part of me that didn't know how to be in my worth or use my voice or stand up for the fact that it's not okay to abandon me. It's not okay. And you can't do this to me. And it's not okay. Instead, I was like feeling sorry for that person that did this to me. And when we are in a place of unconditional love and we're in a place of, just Christ consciousness and spiritual, sometimes we don't realize that we're giving our power away if we don't stand in our own power. And that is the dynamic of all of ourselves, which is this series is a journey to your true self of collecting all of your pieces. So I discovered and then it goes even deeper. That was my second trial because I'd been in trial with another person that I did the same thing with in my chiropractic practice years prior that I had to, for many reasons, let go. And you got to realize sometimes things are got to come to closure with people. And sometimes you go through them to bring balance to the old karma. On that side, I basically did the same thing. I didn't stand up, show up, speak up. It cost me a lot of even my life going through what happened and years of things that, I lost in the case of my practice and some things like that. And on the flip side, all I could do is say, okay, well, it's kind of okay because there was a lesson in it and I didn't get the lesson. And I should have listened to my soul and some other things, but it wasn't just about me listening to my soul. It was about me stepping into my power. And so then I had to repeat it to step in to reclaim what happened that I lost in this other case that I had to reclaim in my soul in this case. Okay. So this is what I'm saying, two sides to a coin. And you might have two experiences that's helping you with two sides of you. One side being your masculine side that is maybe wounded because you don't know how to create safety for your feminine side. You don't know how to stand up for yourself and use your voice. You don't know how to come into your power and say it's not okay. And then you have your feminine side that needs to learn how to receive that, needs to feel protected so she can let down her walls in my case, And the other piece of that is that realizing and recognizing that sometimes when we are really getting into our vulnerability as the feminine side and we're not wounded from our feminine side, then that is where we find our true power. That our true power is found in our vulnerabilities. But our feminine side can never open up to the vulnerabilities until our feminine side feels safe from our masculine side, that our masculine side can protect us to open up like that. Okay, so this is the sacred dance of your inner masculine and your inner feminine energies, and this is very powerful. And I just got to tell you, even taking it, what I'm telling you to the whole next level is when you have to learn how to do that inside. Because when you're with your twin flame or the person you're to be with, if you can't do it inside, you can't do it with them. And that they also not only show up from a place of helping you find this balance, they also show up from a place of helping you expand that balance of coming and surrendering more and more into yourself. And that they are part of helping you expand then. So it's sometimes helping you clear something, and sometimes cracking you open to heal something. And sometimes it's just giving you an opportunity to experience something that you've been working to experience in a positive way. And this even happened to me this morning with my beloved Jeremiah and I, like being able to be into my feminine side and truly let go. And he did this whole, I don't even know what we're going to call it yet, but I know that I told him, I said, this is what everybody needs to experience. And I was able to be in my feminine self this morning and completely feel inner peace no matter what's going on in the world in my life, that I feel completely at peace, completely at home, completely my feminine side just melt into this moment. And it had to do with him just doing these energy chants over me and just different stuff that we neither one planned it. It was organically just took over. But I will tell you a piece of why that is happening is because we got the retreat coming up in April 4th through 7th. And so if you're, interested in coming into more of this balance in yourself, check out the links above and below or on here on the Instagram. You can find it in the bio, because every time I teach something like this, or every time I'm putting something together like this retreat, I live it out. Just like me coming here for this 30 days of transformation, everything I talk about is me in motion, living out what I talk about. That's where I get my content. So, these are just some things that I would bring to the table to help you really dig deep. And so, what you need to basically do is become the observer of what's happening and step out of the pain, step out of the wound, step out of the triggers, step out of the idea that it's somebody else and say, okay, what do I need to learn here? And that attorney taught me to, and I won't even say the words I said in court here because but she taught me some things that when we got to court, she asked me a question. I gave her the answer she wanted to hear, and it wasn't me saying it. I owned it. I owned the words. That is key. You have to own your vibration. You have to own your words. You can't know this stuff. You can know it. But just because you know it doesn't mean you're in alignment with what is happening to bring the full balance of your sacred masculine and feminine being harmonized inside before it can be harmonized outside of you. So your tip, your exercise for today is to just basically identify. I'm just kind of feeling this out and seeing what's coming through as I'm talking here. Okay, yeah, all right. So not just be the observer to create more awareness, but once you discover where you're out of balance and what actions, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, patterns that keep repeating, do cross actions, do the cross of it. And cross action patterns is what I call this. That's just the term that came to me several years ago when I was creating an online course, was cross action patterns. So whatever pattern you have created that's got you in the scenario that you're in now, that's creating this over and over and over in you, start to do the complete opposite. Okay. And what we tend to do is we come into this balance, we swing a pendulum. And it just organically happens, because what happens is, let's just say we have, and this is a really good one because I see this a lot with clients and even myself as I was coming into my balance, is overthinking too much of my masculine, the masculine that was, I will say, wounded, because that's the thing I have to tell you. I have so many people come to me, and myself included in this. Oh, I have no problem being in my masculine because my masculine takes over, is very active, can get things done, and that's true. But the problem with that is, again, it's not the action that happens, it's the intention and the energy under the action. Why are you in control? Why are you staying in control? It's because you don't want to let go, and you're afraid to let go, and you're living in fear. That is why. So that masculine is wounded and shows up in these ways because the masculine doesn't know how to surrender into a place of trusting, allowing, and bringing some of that balance into it to create this, neutrality or this flow between the sacred dance of your masculine and feminine. So that being said, as I was saying, as you're coming into this, and it's a practice, just pay attention to these awarenesses, be the observer, and then do the complete opposite. And then to kind of bring that back, what I was saying about what I was saying a while ago about the pendulum is that when we start the path of discovering we've been in too much control, when it comes into our power, then we reject our power because we're afraid that if we're back in power, we'll go back to old patterns, right? So we swing a pendulum from a place of we've been in too much control, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, I don't like this. So you swing into the pendulum the other way, and it's like, okay, you just fully surrender, you let go, you have no control, you're not going to be, you want no structure in your life, and you're going to be free and all these things, right? And so this is going from one end of the spectrum to the other. And you have to do that to expand yourself sometimes, to flip this. But it's all about coming into the neutrality. It's all about coming back into a pivotal neutral point that's got balance between both of these things. So it happens that you've been, you don't want to be, you flip to the other side, then you resist coming into alignment. Because coming into alignment says you're going backwards, and you're like, oh no, I'm not going back to that. I'm not going back to that. But see, there's a balance between the two, that you need both things. So you need loose structure is what I call that. You need to have some flow and flexibility, but you need some structure to get things done. I can promise you, if I didn't plan and didn't have some structure in my everyday life, then I wouldn't be getting done the content that I create or as many things as I get done. And it takes that to land the plane, is what I call it, to bring into form all these ideas that we have from spirit that we are downloading. If we don't take the action that's required to put it into the physical reality, then, it doesn't do any good for it to continue to be floating around in some idea. And so this is how you can then manifest in your reality what it is you're calling in. So you might be calling in stuff, but you then don't know how to put it into form and actualize it through your inability to take action that creates some groundedness. It takes some form and structure to hold that, to create this container for you to manifest what it is you truly want. So that, back to what I was saying, observe where you're out of balance. Observe what keeps showing up in patterns, thoughts, and feelings that's causing this imbalance. And when you get to the heart of the awareness of what, say, just one thing is, and what action you've been taking that's creating it over and over again, start to do the complete opposite. So you can exercise that side of yourself, so that then exercising that side of yourself will then naturally start to bring yourself into balance. Okay? Loads and loads of love. I'm going to just check a couple messages here. And just really quick, I just want to recap. Today is day 12 of 30 Days of Transformation, a journey to your true self. And if you really want to take a quantum leap and really connect to your inner masculine, inner feminine in such a way that you can create this sacred dance, there's no better place to do it than in Sedona, where the energies are magnified, amplified in a vortex, creating an activation of your true self, your higher self, and then truly embodying the sense of stepping out of the old version of you into the new version of you. And if you have not got plugged into all these days, the last 11 days, there's so many tools, nuggets, golden nuggets, and tips and techniques that go over to my YouTube channel, go to the playlist there, go into the lives that I've been doing, and you can get plugged in and get caught up. Okay. Got some regulars that are here. If you start to join, please sure to join and chime in. Be sure to let me know, how this has impacted you. And so I'm just going to take a couple messages here just to kind of share and see what's going on. And I always got to move the Instagram out of the way here. Okay, just good choice of topic. We have Crazy Lion here, and let's see. And then my beloved Jeremiah here. He says, like water and stone. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, the masculine and feminine bring balance, like summer and winter, keeping um, oh, telling me to keep shining. Gotcha. And also, this helps you embrace your light, is what he's saying, so that you can then, or keep your light or find your light so you can embrace your darkness. Because we're going to have the polarity in us of, as long as we're in human form, we're going to have shadow and light. And it takes shadow and light to equal all that is. So we're not going to necessarily get out of all this. So, yes, yes, yes. And so let's see. Crazy Land, you say again? Very powerful experience that I went through. Yes, yes. It was very powerful. All right. It was intense. And if you've missed my story, I just shared about my example of this, go back and watch this video because it's really, it is empowering and impactful. Um, Challenging times also helps you grow. That is so true. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your, you know, sending me big respect to me. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your loyalty. You've been here every live I've done and showed up because I know you probably hit the notification bell, you and Heidi both. And thank you to Heidi. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have been here. And if you hit the notification bell when you go to YouTube, it'll get notified on the days I come in live. And again, today's 12 days of 30 days of transformation, a journey to your true self. And make sure to check out the link for the retreat in the descriptions above, below, or in the bio on Instagram. I send you loads of love, and I'll be back tomorrow with day 13. Loads of love. Take care.